Welcome to the Tesla Economist. Please hit the thumbs up and remember to subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon. Tesla in China will have the lowest margins out of all the other markets and factories. Hang on, Tesla Economist, I think you might have gotten that the wrong way around. Everything is cheaper in China, everything is made in China, and thus easier and cheaper to source locally. Labor is also a lower cost in China. I think you might mean Tesla China will have the highest margins. Well, sure, Tesla are using the giga press in China, and they're not in Fremont. But here's the thing, Tesla are selling a product in Asia that is not good enough, according to Elon, for other markets. In Asia, it would appear, though, that lower range EVs are more accepted, so Tesla is able to get away with a standard range Model Y in this market. As the standard Model Y is much lower cost than the long range, there is instantly less margin there. But I'm actually talking in a few years' time, so let's jump forwards to around 2025. The standard range Model Y seems to be the sweet spot in China. There are fewer consumers who can afford a long range in China than the US, but a standard range is more affordable. But the thing is, Tesla are only making these vehicles because CATL have a lot of batteries available for Tesla. What Tesla do is work out how they can make the most dollar per kilowatt hour for all those batteries that CATL have available. But not only that, but likely also the batteries CATL say they can make. In other words, it would appear likely, at least when the chip shortage is sorted, that Tesla can ramp up production in China faster than CATL can ramp up batteries. So perhaps Tesla have said to CATL, we will buy as many batteries as you can possibly make. Now, given that Tesla is usually in the order of a $1 trillion company, that is a very good purchase order to have, and we're starting to see it already with CATL's latest battery fab up the road from Giga Shanghai. Anyway, these CATL batteries are LFP, therefore they will only be suitable for standard range vehicles and energy storage. Obviously, vehicles is vastly more profitable than energy at this stage, and the Model Y is vastly more profitable than the 3, so Tesla have decided to try and ramp up supply for a standard Model Y, their lowest range car, for a select local market around where it is made. That market is large enough to serve a very high quantity of these cars. But these batteries are from CATL, and although by this stage Tesla would surely be paying less in around 5 years' time per kilowatt hour, it still won't be as low a cost as Tesla can get by making the batteries in-house themselves. Therefore, Tesla is stuck with CATL, thus Tesla are stuck with LFP, and thus Tesla are stuck with a higher cost for batteries in China. But like I said, Tesla are stuck with LFP, which means Tesla are stuck with lower prices in China. Higher costs, lower prices. But I think the Chinese business is pretty much complete for now. Just grow out the factories at the same rate CATL can expand their battery production. I would say Tesla will continue to use LG to supply the batteries for the long range and performance versions from China too. Tesla don't need to place much focus on China, especially now there isn't going to be a $25,000 compact Tesla. I'm not sure when China would ever allow Tesla robotaxis. That may be a long way off. Tesla will be entering markets where they have the best chance of succeeding with robotaxis. That is where there'll be the most profit and it will have the most impact on the mission. We need to get our heads around Tesla is a robotaxi company. The market Tesla are focusing on the most is the US. Now compare to Tesla China being stuck with lower prices and higher costs, which I guess is the cost of doing business in China and owning 100% of the company there too. But remember, all these cars sold in China wouldn't have been possible without CATL, so it's better than nothing, and it's still far from nothing. It may also be the reason that margins were not up as high as I expected this quarter. Perhaps the margins for the Model Y standard are below 30% in China. We wouldn't have thought this was likely though, and that CATL battery prices will likely come down a lot even soon. Now compared to the US, where the batteries will be made on-site at a lower cost and significantly higher energy density, using all the revolutionary new manufacturing techniques which Tesla may never upgrade in Shanghai, perhaps of concerns of other companies trying to copy them. On the other hand, Elon is happy enough to tell all auto manufacturing companies that they should be using structural battery packs. Anyway, a 4680 battery might be about 30% lower cost for Tesla than an LFP battery from CATL per kilowatt hour. However, this is nickel versus iron prices, so Tesla's nickel battery will still be lower cost for Tesla than CATL's iron battery, yet Tesla can make cars with much longer range and better performance with their lower cost nickel battery. The fact that Tesla's 4680 battery will offer improved range and performance means that that car can be sold for a higher price as a long-range Model Y too. Therefore, Tesla has reduced the cost significantly with the lower cost, more energy-dense battery, along with the other more advanced manufacturing techniques that will also save cost in producing these cars in the US over Shanghai, that may not even adapt to the front die-cast mold, at least no time soon. And I believe that the LFP battery packs are already structural in the standard range vehicles. It was part of how Tesla did such a good job getting the weight down for them. In other words, Texas will be the opposite of Shanghai, and we'll see higher prices with lower costs. Therefore, Tesla's margins will be significantly higher than compared to the majority of the vehicles sold from China. Remember, also in Europe, currently Tesla pay a tariff for all the cars entering Europe from Shanghai. I've heard it's somewhere between 10 and 20%. Of course, on top of that are all the additional transport costs. So imagine how much lower cost Tesla will be able to deliver Model Ys in Germany and the rest of Europe. Minimal transport costs, no tariffs, more advanced manufacturing processes, eventually lower cost batteries in Germany too, i.e. 4680 produced on site, hopefully sometime this year. Just think how much more this can do to Tesla's margin, or how much more demand this can create for Tesla by allowing Tesla more room to reduce the price if they need to improve demand and yet still maintain a great profit. Think about it like this. Whenever Tesla get the cost of production down, then that means they can increase demand further if they so choose by reducing prices. The more costs Tesla reduce, the lower Tesla can put the prices, and thus the higher demand can increase due to the lower prices. It's almost like a higher profit margin is stored up demand. The more demand a product has, the more the prices can increase, and the higher profit margins can become. Thus, you want to make as many of these products as you can, but the demand starts to drop as you can supply so many more, but you can drop prices again to meet demand. So profit margin is deferred demand. If you lower the margin, you can increase demand. Of course, as long as you have the supply to meet the demand. Now, if you are also able to reduce the costs further, it means you have more margin and thus can lower the prices further and increase demand again, or increase your deferred demand. I think if Tesla do continue to sell to the public, they will need to drop their prices eventually, so the vehicles do become more affordable. For example, Apple. Apple doesn't need to drop their prices. Just about anyone can afford an Apple if they really wanted it. They could make sacrifices if they had to, and eventually be able to afford an iPhone. But a $50,000 vehicle? Some people can want it more than anything in the world, but still have no means of being able to afford it. My point is though, if Tesla perhaps got the Model 3 price down to $35,000 or maybe even $30,000, then that would generate a lot of demand. The question is, how low can Tesla get the costs to still clear a decent margin? A $35,000 Tesla, now that is affordable for the masses, because bear in mind, when you remove fuel, servicing and heavy depreciation, it's closer to the cost of ownership of a $15,000 ICE vehicle. Now, there are a lot more people who can make sacrifices to afford a $15,000 ICE equivalent. Anyway, I'm not sure Tesla need to be concerned about dropping prices to increase demand anytime soon, and I wonder what would be better for Tesla, to drop the price of each vehicle by $1,000 or to spend an average of $1,000 per vehicle on advertising. Just because Tesla hasn't spent anything on advertising, don't rule it out. There simply is no point though if you can't come close to meeting demand. Imagine how much the demand for Teslas would increase if the prices dropped by $1,000. Well, probably not too noticeable. However, imagine if Tesla spent $2 billion on advertising this year, $1,000 per vehicle for around 2 million vehicles. And remember, Tesla's massive economies of scale, this would be advertising likely for just the Model 3 and Y, probably in the same ad. Now, that has the possibility of jumping demand maybe 50% or something. The ads just need to explain how Teslas work and how much better it is than ICE. My theory is that Tesla would do everything they can to make as many Model 3s and Ys as possible, and then do everything they can to generate as much demand for these models as possible, rather than focusing these efforts into making new models. All efforts will be focused on reducing cost of 3 and Y and building further demand for more ramping. Anyway, China will continue to ramp up at the rate of CATL and is more or less a complete business for now. I think it might be some time until robotaxis will enter that market. I think Canada is the next obvious market for robotaxis, but after that, I'm not yet sure. But I would say it would likely have to do with the quality of roads, so perhaps somewhere in Europe. Tesla serves as a way for CATL to find an application for all the batteries they can produce. Tesla is the only manufacturer remotely close that can handle that level of batteries in manufacturing vehicles and eventually energy. I mean, it's a great partnership, as you would expect from the world's largest battery manufacturer and the world's largest EV manufacturer. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.